All right, everybody. I know, long overdue. Welcome to the new episode of Psycho's Platters, episode 126. Basically, this is going to be a bunch of hodgepodge, but some also plus good news as well. Always sponsored and fueled by coffee. First thing I'd like to do and get out of the way in a nice formal way, I'd like to thank everybody in the VC that went off and took a look at my response video to Balding Boomer's thread in regards to the introducing the Beatles on VJ. When I make mistakes, I'll admit I make mistakes. What I mean by that is that, like I said in the video, I thought I had one to show you. I was wrong. Like I said, I still am looking for a record for this one. If you have a spare one, let me know, please. But I had to do something. So that's why I brought my friend Doug Fielton. By the way, Doug was very, very, very happy with your comments. You know what? Like I said, I think Doug soon will have himself a YouTube vinyl channel as well. And when he does, I, of course, will be mentioning it on my show for you guys to be able to check out as well. He's a really nice guy, very knowledgeable, and God, what a collection. Puts mine to shame. So, anywho, I wanted to show you a couple hodgepodge items that I picked up over the last few weeks, okay? Went to a Goodwill. This was a few weeks back, and I found Elvis Volume 1 from 1956 and Peace in the Valley from Elvis Presley 1957, both EPs. I want to bring up something really quick, though, about these. At least with the Elvis Volume 1, there's 3 different label variations. Now, the one that I happen to have here, and I'm going to show you both of these, by the way, in VG+. The cover on this one here is a lot better than the other one. But as you can see, there's a dog on top of the RCA Victor. That is actually not the original press. It is very close, but not quite. In this case, there actually was, it just says RCA Victor with a horizontal line across. That one actually is worth about $200 in near mint condition. I have never personally seen that particular label variation. I've seen the dog on top, which I'm used to, and of course later on in later pressings for some of these earlier ones. And in the 60s, I saw RCA Victor and the dogs to the left. The ones to the left are a little bit lower value than the ones of the dog on top. This is a dog on top pressing too. But for 50 cents a piece in VG Plus condition for the vinyl, I wasn't going to pass these up any day. Also, I picked up for $2, if I remember correctly, Paul McCartney and Wings, 1977. This was the way I could figure this out based on the writing. This cuts off at late February of '77, so the band was still in their heyday. They just got done having the Mammoth U.S. tour. Here's the front. Here's the back. I've never seen this book before. Here's a page or two for you, for example. I love McCartney, and Wings was a kick-ass band. To be able to find this, and this is in really good shape, for the $2 I paid for it, excellent indeed. Okay, we're going to play a little bit catch-up here. I think I talked to you guys when Cantner died in January from Jefferson Airplane. I wanted to show you some recent stuff that I picked up, and then some older stuff, if that's all right with you. This one here, I picked this up a couple months back, and I plumb forgot about this. This is still in the shrink from 1987, Jefferson Airplane, 2400 Fulton Street. This came out in 1987. It was a double album Jefferson Airplane comp. You know what? Great place to start if you're a Jefferson Airplane person. You know, you want to explore. This is actually pretty good. It actually has a little bit of, if I remember correctly, there's a little bit of unreleased stuff on this. Like I said, I can't show you this. The gatefold's all sealed up, but I mean, it even came with inner sleeves that tell the story a little bit more on that one. So I was very happy to get that. I only paid, I think, 50 cents or $1 for that one. And then the other one here I want to show you really quick. I do not remember if I showed you this at all or not, VC. But I do happen to have a signed Jefferson Starship Spitfire album with Paul Kantner's autograph on it. This story goes back to 2003. Most of the signatures on here actually say 2003, excuse me. Jefferson Starship came to do a charity gig out in Crystal Lake, Illinois, a very small theater out there. Excuse me. My boss wouldn't let me out, of course, but they did a charity gig for the local food pantry. I couldn't get out there, so I wrote a two-sided, one-page letter to Paul and Marty, who, at least in the picture of that performance, it showed Paul and Marty there. And I said, look, I can't make it. Is there any possible way that if I do a donation to the food pantry, would you kindly sign this album for me? And sure enough, Kantner, it's a nice signature for Kantner, but the rest of the band signed it too. Now, normally, maybe I wouldn't complain about such things, but the rest of the band were never on this album, so that's what kind of annoys me. The one glaring omission is Marty Ballin's autograph isn't on here, and for the longest time I said to myself, was Marty pissed off at me? Did Marty not like this particular album? Why did Marty not sign it? It took me over a year to find out the actual mystery to all of this from somebody that actually was at the gig. Marty's daughter, if I remember correctly, something medically went wrong, and so he had to split for a little while. So he was not at this gig. Paul was the only original member on the gig here. Other autographs, though, that ended up on here, Prairie Prince, who was a drummer for, original drummer of Journey, The Tubes, KBC Band, which I'll explain about that in another episode, and Slick Aguilar, they all signed on here on the front. So I'm still very happy to have it. When I see this, you know, I said to myself, you know, Kantner being gone for all this, which then brings up to the next thing, which of course is old news, but we find out that not only when Paul Kantner from Airplane died that day, so did the original singer to this particular album, Signa Anderson. This was the only album that these two would work together on. Jefferson Airplane Takes Off. Really cool album. I don't know if you've ever heard this particular one. It's not mentioned very much. This is a mono copy of this on the old RCA Victor. This was released in 1966. Now, on a collector's standpoint for this particular album, if you don't know about this, if you'll bear with me, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this album from the research. The sources on this one a little bit are Wikipedia and the Goldmine Album Price Guide, if it's alright with you. This is the sources here. Well, like I said, original pressings, Jefferson Airplane Takes Off, 1966. Particular lineup on this album, really quick though, by the way. Of course, Marty Ballin, Paul Kantner, Jorma Kaukonen, I hope I pronounced that right, I never could get that right. Signa Anderson, Alex Skip Spence, who of course, after this album, he would leave and form Moby Grape, and Jack Cassidy. So that's who you've got for the lineup on this one. This is the front, this is the back. Now, there's three different versions of this particular album in the original press category. The first one is, there's a version 1 with a song called Running Around the World, which would be normally the last song on side 1, alright? No, I don't happen to have that particular version, but I'm just giving you examples. It said, don't rely on the cover, due to there was more cover jackets than there were records made on this one, okay? So in other words, yes, you could have yourself a second version vinyl and a first version jacket. If I think I've brought this up before in regards to RCA and Elvis's releases, sometimes they made, of course, they made more jackets than they made records. I don't know why, but that was just a practice back then. And obviously it seems like it carried over in the Jefferson Airplane bit here. But for this particular album, with the Running Around the World song, near mint condition, stereo pressing would be $5,000, and mono for near mint would be $3,000 with a VG of $1,500. That's pretty damn good. That's a super collector's item in my book for this album anyway, if you happen to have that song with Running Around the World. Now remember, to be able to figure that out, count the tracks on side 1 as well. Like I said, it would help out in that one to determine if you've got that pressing or not. Version 2 gets a little bit interesting, okay? They leave off Running Around the World, but there are songs, Let Me In and Run Around, that are put on this particular album, but the lyrics are questionable. Now, for the lyrics in the song Let Me In, the questionable lyric is, don't tell me you want money. The questionable lyric in Run Around is that sway as you lay under me. Ooh, how scandalous for 66, right? Whatever. Now, here's the thing. At least as of the pressing that I read on this, there's no matrix numbers to be able to prove what exact pressing you've got. You're going to have to listen to this on your player to find out what version you've got. If you do happen to have a second version of this, you are looking at, in near mint condition, $1,800 for a stereo press, $1,000 in mono. Alright, so that's version 2 we're talking about this particular album. The last final version here, version 3, you still got the songs that are on there, but they changed the lyrics to both Let Me In and Run Around. Let Me In's new lyric says, don't tell me it's so funny. And Run Around's was changed to, that sway as you stay here by me. Now that, like I said though, near mint condition, this time the mono pressing's more valuable than the stereo. $80 roughly for a near mint mono, $25 for a stereo. So who would have thunk, right? But yeah, I mean, it's a cool album. I like it. It's definitely got a different sound than as opposed to Surrealistic Pillow, Bathing at Baxter's, and a few of the other ones. Obviously, they come down later in the Airplane catalog. But this is a great start. It almost kind of makes you wonder, because the reason why Signe Anderson left was, well, she was pregnant with child, and so her last performance was in October of '66, and then the next day Grace Slick shows up from the Great Society, and everything, of course, changes. One last thing I want to show you really quick. Nothing to do with Airplane, but how about this? I have been looking for a copy of Ozzy Osbourne Randy Rhoads tribute from '88. Alright? I've been looking for years for a copy of this, and I know some of you people are going to go, well, I already got this already, you idiot. But, of course, it's a gatefold. This basically literally was a tribute album, 2 LPs. Well, you got some live stuff here. They claim at that time from the only live source that they had, along with some studio outtakes. And of course, let me show you here. The original pressings would be on CBS Associated, which is where, if I remember correctly on this, bear with me, of course Ozzy originally started out with Jet Records, but by the time '83 came about, Jet went under, and that's why you see Bark at the Moon for Ozzy, Kansas with Drastic Measures, and ELO's, the one they put out in '86, the one with Calling America. All of those are on CBS Associated because everything pretty much, either the labels went under, so they just did a unification thing for a few years. These are in stone mint condition. That's the reason why I grabbed it. It cost me $7, but it was one of the better $7 I have invested in. Every time I've come across a copy of this, it seems like it's totally wrecked. So that's pretty much it for the finds in this section. But I want to tell you guys something that I haven't announced yet, because of the last video or two in regards to the Balding Boomer thread and episode 125. I now can announce I've broke over the 200 subscriber level. Yeah, as of this morning, 209 subscribers. Thank you, seriously. Thank you all very much in the VC for you people that have subscribed. The last That Balding Boomer video, 127 views as of this morning. For some of you that may not sound like much, but for me it's an honor. It really is an honor. That I enjoyed working with Doug. I hope we could do more. We're going to do more videos in the future. But I want to thank the new subscribers that have just come on board within the last 10 days. Paul McLaughlin, Vinyl Block 1965, Craig Vinyl, Vinyl Eyes with two Z's at the end, Donald Rocks 101-103, Vinyl Syndrome, Accelerum, Xelerim, Channel 33 RPM, Tim Allen, NB_drummer, Sailor Sam, Angela Pressler, The King's Court, Mod Beat 1966, 519 Melonville, Brent Berg, The Mooch 255, Collector of Stuff, The Slider 1955, Dutch Vinyl Freak, and lastly, Skeeta Bix 36. Thank you for all coming on here to the Psycho Platters channel. You will not be disappointed. As everyone else knows so far, and everybody in the VC, my goal, of course, is to educate and entertain it. Well, damn it, have a little bit of fun in the process. So some last quick little sponsors really quickly before I depart for this episode. Wax Museum with Ronnie Dark, the best damn Sunday night show out there. Seriously. 6 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Go like his page on Facebook and listen through Uber stations is the link I take, okay? 87.7 WVOA Radio, Syracuse, New York. Which, right after that, from 6 to 9 p.m. Central Standard, 9 to 10 p.m. Central Standard on Sunday nights, Night Owl Lounge with Mike Adams, the best in lounge in Exotica. Seriously, the dude knows what he's doing. And you know what? Grab yourself some booze and listen for an hour. It'd be great. Monday nights, Mike Bolia Remembers. Too much computer information. Please go like his Facebook page, and that will also tell you the information as well. But that show is on Monday nights. Doo-wop, oh man, I have heard bits and pieces of your show, Mike. I'm sorry, Monday nights kind of seem to get to be busy for me, so I do only get to hear parts. But what I've heard, I really like. So thank you very much. Thrifty Music Collectors Group. Go like their page on Facebook. Shindig, the best damn English magazine out there. Seriously. I like Record Collector and Goldmine and Mojo, but Shindig tops them all in my book. Lastly, YouTube Vinyl Community. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't be able to show this to all of you. And you know what? One last thing, VC. I love you. I really, really do. I'm glad we're able to do these videos together. We interact. I have seen a lot more interaction in the VC in the last 6 to 12 months than I have in the last 3.5 years I've been on air. So seriously, thank you, YouTube Vinyl Community, for being what you are. And hopefully we can grow and make this even a better place than what it is already. And lastly, you know what? I want to go off and give a shout out really quick to a guy that I tripped on YouTube and Facebook. Some of you people maybe have heard of him, maybe you haven't. A musician by the name of Mitch Malloy. Now, Mitch Malloy, he got himself started in the early 90s, per se. I have his first album, I think it was on RCA, that he put out in 92. He was on Tonight Show at that point, too, if I remember correctly. Or maybe it was the second album. But, and even his second album, he got to work with Becca Bramlett and Bernie Leadon, ex-Eagles and such. He also was briefly the singer for Van Halen. Go on YouTube, go subscribe to Mitch's channels, Mitch Malloy on YouTube, and go subscribe to him on Facebook. The man's still around. And you know what? I've been hearing bits, and he's put out many albums too, by the way. And he does some really fine work. He's doing a tour in England coming up really soon. And hopefully when I get my podcast off the ground, hopefully it'd be an honor to interview him as well. So, like I said, go see Mitch Malloy on YouTube and Facebook and subscribe to both of those, please. So once again, guys, thank you very much. And take care. God bless and rock on. And I'll see you next episode. That's a fact.